What would you do if the last piece of food in your home was asked for by a hungry stranger? Would you keep it for yourself or give it away? This is the story of a poor boy named Adam whose small act of kindness brought blessing he never expected. One cold evening, in a small village, there lived a poor boy named Adam. Adam lived with his mother in a tiny old house. Life was not easy for them. Adam's father had passed away years ago, and since then his mother worked hard every day just to provide food for the family. Their home was small, their clothes were simple, and many days were filled with a struggle. But despite their hardship, Adam and his mother never lost hope. As the sun slowly disappeared behind the hills, the cold evening wind began to blow through the village. Inside their humble home, Adam sat quietly beside his mother. Neither of them knew that this ordinary evening was about to change their lives forever. Life was never easy for Adam and his mother. After the death of Adam's father, his mother became the only person responsible for the family. Every morning she left home hoping to find work. She walked wherever she could, carrying heavy baskets, cleaning homes, and doing small jobs around the village. But lately, things had become much harder. For several days, no one had offered her any work. Each day she returned home tired, with disappointment in her eyes. The little money they had saved was slowly running out. Yet, despite all hardship, she never stopped trusting Allah, and every evening she returned home with a gentle smile so Adam would not worry. That evening, Adam walked quietly toward the kitchen cupboard, hoping that there might still be something left to eat. Slowly, he opened the cupboard door, and then his heart sank. Inside, there was only one small piece of bread, just one. That was all the food left in the house. Adam stared at it silently. He was hungry, very hungry, but he said nothing. As he turned around, he saw his mother. She looked tired, weak, and exhausted after days of struggles. The small piece of bread was all they had for dinner, and neither of them knew where tomorrow's food would come from. Adam looked at the last piece of bread and then at his mother. He could see the tiredness in her face. Days of struggle had left her weak and exhausted. Yet, despite everything, she still carried a gentle smile. Adam worried about tomorrow. What would they eat? How would they survive if no work came again? His heart was filled with questions, but his mother remained calm. She placed her hand gently on his shoulder and looked at him with kindness. There was a faith in her eyes, faith that Allah would never abandon them. Even in their hardest moments, she continued to trust him, and somehow her calmness brought comfort to Adam for a moment. His worries became a little lighter. The house was still poor, the cupboard was still empty, but hope was still alive. Adam and his mother sat down to eat. The last piece of bread had been divided between them. It was not much, but it was all they had. The small room was quiet. Only the sound of evening wind could be heard outside. Adam looked at the bread in front of him. His stomach was hungry. Adam, after a long, difficult day, he was ready to eat. But just as they were about to take their first bite, a sudden sound broke the silence. Knock, knock. Someone was at the door. Adam looked at his mother. His mother looked back at him. Both seemed surprised. Who could be visiting at such a late hour? Slowly, Adam stood up from the table, his heart filled with curiosity. Step by step, he walked toward the door. Then he reached for the handle and gently opened it. Standing outside was an old traveler. His clothes were dusty, his face looked tired, and his eyes showed the exhaustion of someone who had been struggling for a very long time. Adam stood still, holding the last piece of bread. His eyes were fixed on the tired traveler outside. His heart felt heavy. He was hungry, very hungry, and for a moment he thought about keeping the bread just for himself so he could eat and survive the night. But then he looked at his mother. She said nothing. She simply watched him with calm and understanding eyes. There was no pressure in her gaze, only trust. Adam's thought became louder. What should he do? Keep it or give it away? He remembered his mother's words. Allah is the best provider. Those words echoed in his heart slowly. His grip on the bread began to loosen. Adam took a deep breath. His hands moved slowly toward the table. The last piece of bread was still there. He picked it up carefully. Then he looked at the second piece, his mother's portion. His heart was trembling. For a moment he stopped, but then something inside his became stronger. He picked both pieces of bread and turned toward the door. The hungry traveler was still waiting outside. Adam stood in front of the traveler. Silence filled the air. The night felt still. Then slowly he placed both pieces of bread into the traveler's hands. The old man looked shocked. His eyes filled with tears. He could not believe it. Adam stood quietly, not saying a word, but his eyes said everything: kindness, sacrifice, and faith. The traveler raised his hands and made a heartfelt prayer for them. Adam and his mother had nothing left to eat, but they had something greater: faith in Allah. That night, Adam and his mother sat quietly in their home. The house was silent and empty, but something felt different this time. There was no fear in their hearts, only trust. They had given everything for the sake of Allah. Adam sat beside his mother. Silently he smiled, not because they had food, but because they had done the right thing. His mother gently placed her hand on his head and whispered a prayer. "Oh Allah, we trust you completely." And in that silence they slept peacefully. The next morning, soft golden sunlight filled the room. A knock broke the silence. Knock, knock. Adam quickly opened the door. A neighbor stood outside holding a basket full of warm, fresh bread. The smell filled the air instantly. Adam froze for a moment, then smiled as if his heart already understood. He ran inside and placed the basket in front of his mother. Her eyes filled with tears of gratitude. Hope had returned, but the blessing did not stop there. Later that day, a shop owner came to their home. He offered Adam's mother a job, a stable income. After so many difficult days, everything changed. Not because they asked for more, but because they gave for the sake of Allah when they had nothing. Days passed and life slowly improved for Adam and his mother. Food came back to their home. His mother found a stable work. The hardships were still there, but hope and returned. Adam never forgot that night. The night they had nothing, but still chose to give. And he learned something forever. Kindness never goes to waste. Years later, Adam grew up With a kind heart, he always helped people in need because he understood one truth: when you give for the sake of Allah, you never lose anything, you only gain mercy, blessing, and peace. This is what Adam learned that day. When you help others sincerely for the sake of Allah, you never lose anything. Even when you feel you have nothing left, Allah replaces it with something better. Kindness is never wasted. Every small good deed always comes back in a ways you never expect. So never hesitate to help someone in need, because whatever you give is never lost. It is only returned with blessings. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like this video and share it with your family and friends. Subscribe to Sadaa Tales for more moral stories. New story will come every week. Let us know in the comments what you learned from this story. See you in the next video, inshallah.